If you think I had nothing else to say about the dragons in the Starfinder universe, you would be wrong. I did, however, do a near 20-minute video covering the different types of metallic dragons, the chromatic dragons, and a few other dragons. However, I did not talk much about the robotic dragons. So let's take a look at the robot dragons that exist within the Starfinder universe. What kinds are there? What makes them so special? If you've been following me for a while, you would know that Starfinder is never boring. By the way, if you want to get more Starfinder content from myself, then please hit subscribe with the bell notification. And if you like dragons, then please hit the like button. Now, before we can talk about dragon robots in space, we need to talk about today's sponsor, NordVPN. Let me tell you a little story. It involves someone who, through an email, decided to set up a YouTube channel. They had this email address for a very long time and they used it everywhere, including to set up their own YouTube channel. However, unbeknownst to them, they were basically surfing the internet without a condom. This would lead to the near ultimate destruction of multiple years of hard work on a YouTube channel. Thankfully, with YouTube's help, they were able to get things resolved. However, we do have the issue of continuing to surf the internet without any kind of protection. The person we're talking about is me. I'm that idiot. So, where does NordVPN come in with all of this? If you don't know, a VPN is a virtual private network. Basically, what NordVPN does, they protect your IP addresses. So third parties, your internet service providers, even government agencies can't get easy access to your data. You can also change locations. So if you want to watch a show on Netflix in the UK or in Canada, for example, you just click the location button and suddenly you're Canadian, eh? NordVPN can be used across multiple devices. Your cell phone, your computer, your tablet. Everything needs to be protected. And NordVPN is offering you a 63% discount on your annual subscription if you use my link in the pinned comment or the description below. So please check it out. It definitely helps out the channel, and you also gain the peace of mind knowing that your devices are protected. And now back to the video. Let's have a quick refresher on the dragons then, shall we? Speaking in generalities, dragons are very powerful reptilian creatures with abnormally high intelligence. Vast majority of the dragons actually fall into one of two categories, and that would be chromatic or metallic dragons. When it comes to the universe that Starfinder has built, there are definitely more than just those two categories. One of those other categories is robots. Chromatic dragons are usually evil. Metallic dragons are the contrast. They are generally good and trying to advance society, better society in some way. Some dragons have the ability to better integrate themselves into human society. As they get a little bit older, more mature, wiser, they develop the ability to transform into a humanoid bipedal creature. It's through this brilliant art of camouflage, disguise, that they are actually able to integrate themselves into humanoid society. My light is blinding me. There is actually 12 rankings, classifications, categories of dragon, and the older they get, the longer they live, they progress through these categories. Wormlings, these are your little baby dragons. They then progress to the very young category, which is then followed by a young category. Then there's the juvenile category. This is your teenager dragon, the rebellious years. Then there's the young adult dragon. A young adult dragon turns into an adult dragon, who then turns into a mature adult. I hope I haven't lost you in the naming scheme here. Then you get to be an old dragon, which is followed by a very old dragon. Once you get past this category, this is where the names start to become a little bit more fearsome in terms of the classification of dragon. And trust me, you don't want to run into one of these in the wild, in space, in the space wilds. Dragons then progress to the ancient category, then the worm category, and finally the great worm. Now, your run-of-the-mill dragon, the fleshy ones, the ones that live in the Drake lands of Triaxis, link up here for Triaxis, they enjoy a position of privilege over many second-class humanoid citizens. In many cases, they are actually the CEOs of big corporations on Triaxis. A Triaxian dragon is a schemer. They are a planner and a plotter. They are very good at playing the long game. Working with one of these dragons is a dangerous game. It's risky business, but if you survive, well, there's a lot of profit to be made here. In contrast to the fleshy, chromatic, metallic, whatever dragons, robot dragons are entirely constructed. They are artificial, they are complex machines, and they actually attract a soul of a dragon to inhabit the machinery, much like the androids actually. Up here for androids as well. Every robot dragon is built specifically around a different type of weapon. Robot dragons are instruments of war. Creation of robot dragons is possible. It is nearly a lost art. There are very few individuals within the universe that even know how to do this properly. The other problem that comes with creating a dragon construct with the soul of a dragon that inhabits it, generally, these robot constructs are only willing to serve a master for so long, and then they develop a conscience, a soul of their own. They just stop following instructions. They do what they want because they're fucking dragons. There is one type of robotic dragon that stands head and shoulders above the rest, and that's simply because it is the most feared robotic dragon you would ever encounter. Nobody really lives to tell the tale. But then where did the tales come from? The Disintegration Dragon is a construct of a dragon that is a gigantic war machine with a nuclear fission reactor for a heart. They will disintegrate you. They will tear you apart at the molecular level. Now, here's something else that's interesting. When it comes to biological dragons, as they grow older, they get a little bit bigger and they progress through that categorization chart that I just went through. Robotic dragons are a little different. Their size is determined when they are built. So, if you see a big one, it's gonna cause a big problem for you. What types of robot dragons exist that you could potentially throw at your players or use as an antagonist, a mysterious benefactor perhaps? Going alphabetically, let's start with the Cryo Dragon. They prefer a strong defense to a strong offense. These robotic dragons are probably the easiest to deal with should you encounter one in the wilds of space. They do tend to prioritize the things that they own, protecting their possessions. A robotic Cryo Dragon appreciates someone who is slow to act, calm in their movements, very deliberate, and, fun fact, Cryo Dragons never get bored. A Cryo Dragon emits a cold energy from their mouth, be it laser, actual cold. They can really freeze out the competition. The Cryo Dragon can be any lawful alignment, so if you encounter one in the wilds of space, hope it's a good one. I already introduced you to the Disintegration Dragon. These are the ones with the nuclear fission reactor for a heart that can destroy you at the molecular level. They are peerless in their ability to destroy. Incredibly effective, very, very dangerous. They reduce all who stand in their wake to mere slag, radioactive goo, basically. So it should come as no surprise that it's an evil dragon. Then we get to the Laser Dragon. What's a Laser Dragon, you ask? They are cautious and very precise. They prefer to know anything and everything they can about any situation, mission, operation before they make any rash decisions. well, at least what would be rash in their mind. It's just a decision. They do favor long-range observation, even close-range observation, as well as espionage. A laser dragon can be any neutral alignment. That will lead us into the Plasma Dragon. Plasma dragons, they're a big fan of surprise attacks, gaining the upper hand, as well as scorched earth tactics. They believe that fast, decisive action is best. Who needs plans like the Cryo Dragons? Wimps. And because they tend to not favor having a plan of any sort, the Plasma Dragon can be any chaotic alignment. In contrast, there is also the Projectile Dragon. These guys are not a big fan of risk. For any mission, any operation that they are running, they prefer the lowest risk possible with the most likely outcome for success. The Projectile Dragon is also an evil classification of dragons, so they can be any evil alignment. Shock Dragons. These are your hyperactive ADHD robot dragons. They are quick thinking, very hyperactive. They do act quickly, but their goal is to accomplish their mission, their task, whatever it is, as soon as possible. The Shock Dragon can also be any neutral alignment. The Sonic Dragons. These are type A robotic dragon personalities. They want to take charge of any situation they find themselves in. Whether it's an act or whether it's just something they project. See what I did there? The Sonic Dragon, they like the sound of their own voice. Maybe they pretend to like the sound of their own voice. It's a very common trait among these Sonic robotic dragons. As far as robotic dragons go, they're pretty cool, but if you can't get enough dragons, then you need to watch this video right here. Thank you to all of my patrons for continuing to support me and the channel. All of your ongoing support means the absolute world to me. My name's Nathaniel. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.